and maybe it's selfish because we were teammates, but my senior year, we had a freshman named Michael Finley, played for a long time.
For the Mavericks for a while.
Yep, Dallas Mavericks. And I've told people this story, and I'll probably keep telling it because I don't know that every guy like that is defined this way. But I just remember my senior year, his freshman year, what a pain in the butt it was to practice against this guy.
All right, welcome back to the OneDog Podcast. Ryan Weber here with Coach Brian Good. Men's basketball at Wingate. You came from Queens, conference rival. What brought you over to Wingate from Queens?
So it became one, but at the time...
Well, you made it a rival, I guess is a better way to say it.
Well, at the time, it was two different leagues. Queens was in Conference Carolinas. It just, I had a lot of good feelings about this place in terms of how it fit what I saw my career being, and, kind of settling into the small college Division II model. I wanted to be a place where, there was a growing athletic department with multiple sports. The campus, the campus at Queens was a city block surrounded by $1 million homes. Yeah. It just wasn't really a college atmosphere feel, kind of what I, saw in my future. So when the opportunity came to come over here, I felt like it was a really good move for me.
Yeah, and you've had a pretty good, stint since you got here. So you got here when I was, what was it, 08, 09?
This is my 16th year. That's about all.
Whatever that. So, yeah. I knew I was here and saw you come in. You took over from Coach Laquetta. What's that like? Because he was here for a while. What's that like? Yeah. Kind of taking over a program from someone who's had a successful program and been at a program for a long time. How was that kind of transitioning into that?
Yeah, it's. I've always said it's a lot easier to follow the guy who's losing a bunch of games because all they want is for you to be better than the last guy. So, and certainly the first couple of years are tough. I came into this job here with an entire roster already built too. Like they had finished recruiting,
and they had just come off Elite Eight.
Elite Eight, yeah. Two of probably the best players that have ever played here, and Sean Barnett and Brian Greer. So that wasn't exactly an easy act to follow. And the first year is always tough because, here's a group of guys that you didn't have anything to do with coming here. But again, I think while they did a great job recruiting, I think a big part of that group that was here that I started with came to Wingate for more reasons than just basketball. So probably helped with the transition, but it still takes a little while. You gotta, you either gotta make them your guys or, you gotta start bringing in your guys. And we had some of those guys really become our guys. And I think that really jump started, the transition for me as the coach.
Yeah, no, we have one of your former players that has come on the podcast and hung out with me, and he called around when he heard you were coming in. He had a bunch of buddies at Queens, and he called him and he said, "Hey, what do I need to prepare for Coach Good? What's happening?" And Larry Staley decided that the only advice he needed was to make sure his track shoes were ready to go for your preseason camp.
Oh, the good old days. The good old days where we just used to run and run and run and run. So we don't even have that kind of time anymore. We used to have to be so creative just to get through that. But now, we start basketball basically from day one. So, I love when some of these guys from the past stop by and tell the guys now, like, "Oh, it's tough," and they're like, "Yeah, you got no idea what it used to be."
Well, when I was talking to Coach Kirkland and Coach Kirkwood, and Larry had mentioned, like, "Oh yeah, he was trying to get me into to do a spin class," And I was like, a spin class? I was like, I thought you guys used to run all the time. He said, yeah, it seems like they're getting kind of soft over there. You know, they're not having to run like we used to.
Well, there is some truth to that, but it is different, you know, in the sense that I think a lot of these guys today probably spend more time in the off season before we get there. So it's almost like we're already kind of in basketball shape when we started. So to just go out there and run laps kind of seems like a little bit of a waste of time. And
those guys are going to hate hearing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things that we've held on to that I'm sure that they'd appreciate. The doubles are still part of our program, and that word usually brings some fear into some guys. I'd say the only thing that's probably missing is the 2-mile run. We still run our stadium hills, and we still do the county fair and all those things, but there's a lot less of it now because we kind of get into basketball a little earlier.
I get chills here in county fair. Like, you know, I want to get out of here now. No, you know, you've came in, you've kind of transitioned the program into your own thing. You've been pretty successful. What do you think has kind of helped you create a successful program that's been pretty consistent year over year? Obviously, you're always going to have your ups and downs, but generally, you've been a very consistently a top of the conference team. Like, what are some of the things that you instill that you think have helped with that?
I quite honestly think it starts with recruiting, and certainly that's an area of the game that's definitely not foolproof. We're always going to make our mistakes, but I think one of the things that we've done here that I think has really helped us is, and I use this phrase a lot with my staff, is we want guys that want to be here. You know, if we're ever in the market where we feel like we're trying to convince someone, we got to sell, you know, and there's, Lord knows there's a lot of salesmen in the college coaching profession that can sell ice to an Eskimo, but I will never do that because, you know, in the end, that player needs to want to be at Wingate and be part of our program. I don't want to ever have to work harder to convince him just to be here than to be, you know, all he can be as a basketball player and a student. So, and you know, we've been wrong, you know, as we all are, but I think we've been right a lot more often than not.
Yeah, no, I've always been impressed with the guys that have come in here for basketball. You know, what you typically see with, or what you commonly see with other teams, you know, it's just a different persona. And I feel like our basketball players are a lot more team oriented. They want to be a part of the college. They're more integrated with everybody. In a lot of schools, I feel like basketball team kind of like secludes themselves a lot because, I mean, really the season's the whole year. And so like they're just with their own guys. But I think the guys here really integrate themselves with everyone, which, you know, it means a lot. You're really a part of the school and the culture here.
Yeah, I appreciate that because that's been the kind of the focus from day one. And my staff knows it, you know, when they're talking to guys, if we just feel like, hey, we're trying to convince this guy that this is the place for him, or, you know, we got to entice him with, you know, whatever, you know, those are just guys that, in my experience, you're just not very successful with. And on top of that, like, we want good dudes, you know, like you said it, here we are, this thing started in August and we still got at least a month, if not more, to go.
Hopefully more.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot more.
So we spend a lot of time together, and, you know, not only do I want to like being around them, but, you know, you want the other guys like being around each other, because it's a lot of bus rides, a lot of practices, a lot of time, a lot of meals, you know, so you want some guys that you enjoy being around and enjoy coaching. And, you know, we certainly, when we're evaluating, we'll take the guy that we know is a great fit over a guy that maybe he's a skill set a little bit higher, but we think he's just not going to fit into what we are and how we want our guys to act and behave, and that served us pretty well to this point.
Yeah. No, talk to me about that evaluation. Like, I think I ask every coach on here, like, it's always so fascinating to me of like evaluating high school kids. Mm-hmm. Like, I grew 3 inches and put on 35 pounds my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Like, how does the evaluation process happen where you're like, hey man, I think this kid's going to be good, but what are some of those intangibles you're looking for? What are some of the things you're like, we want to bet on this player? Like, what do you look for when you're out there recruiting?
Yeah. I mean, I always say, like, anybody can walk into the gym and see the guy that's really talented, right? Yeah. And we always, we get the list, and everybody's got their opinion. And sometimes it could be a painstaking process, because, we're in the realm where we're recruiting guys that, are probably on the verge of getting a Division I offer.
Those fringe players.
Yeah. But maybe for this reason or that reason, or maybe just lack of exposure, they're there.
Those are the best ones.
And they're a little hungry, because maybe they didn't get to go where the highest level that they thought they were capable. But when we start trying to break down the difference between this one and that one, it's a lot of non-basketball factors that we evaluate on. For me, one of the biggest things is your body language, and especially when things aren't going well. Like, because I know over the course of your career, things aren't going to go well sometimes. And how are we going to deal with that? And so the body language of the guy that's having a rough day, or the ball just won't go in the basket today, or maybe the officiating is not quite up to par and we've got a couple bad breaks. How does he handle all that? How does he treat his teammates? When he comes out of the game and sits on the bench, is he engaged still in the game? Is he still cheering on what his teammates are doing on the floor? And then the last thing we like to, our research usually leads us down this path is he a gym guy? Like, does he like to get in the gym? Because my experience here, by far the best players that have ever played here for us, and I'm guessing this probably holds true for most coaches, is the guys that like to get in the gym and get, and just get shots and work on their game. And we want to know that he's a guy that he's this right now, and maybe he's, maybe he's not quite the level he was hoping, but if he's a gym guy and he's got all the right attitudes, by the time his career is done here, people are going to look at him and go, how in the world did somebody not take him at the Division I level?
Yeah, no, and I think as a player in Division II, like, that's your goal.
Yeah.
Like, you want to leave here and people are like, he should have been to Division I. Like, that's what you should be striving for. And, there's a lot of things that go into how you can make that happen. So, you've had some coaches around for a really long time. Talk to me about like how you're building that relationship with your coaching staff, how you trust them, like how you keep these guys around, because they're good coaches. Like, they probably want to move up in the ranks, but you're like, no, you're going to stay here and we're going to do really good stuff together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely, when you look at Marcus, like, it's just amazing that, I'm so fortunate. Like, it just doesn't happen. And especially doesn't happen at Division II level, that you get somebody to stay with you that long as the head coach. You just have no idea how easy that makes my life. Like, he knows what I need to know and what I don't need to know, and he doesn't have to ask me anymore. So things that maybe don't need to hit my plate, they don't. We don't have to discuss terminology or anything like that. He kind of knows it. So I'm very fortunate. He knows what kind of players I like, and he, when he sees a guy, he'll say, this is a guy that you would like, not this is a guy I like. This is a guy I know you'd like. And so I think that's a huge deal. So I'm extremely fortunate in that regard. I think Marcus probably is a little spoiled. I think there's been some opportunities out there. But he probably wants a job like Wingate, and you don't usually get a job like Wingate for your first job. So, he's still, but maybe the day will come, and that'll be a different day for our program for sure.
Yeah.
And probably the other thing that he brings to us that's so important is just kind of the personal relationship with our players. It's just nice to have a man that has lived that life that they're living now and is now doing this, that they can shut the door and have a real conversation.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I talked with him for 20 minutes out in the hallway, and I remember him when I was here just by seeing him, but it's not like we talked. I mean, why would have we? But I mean, we had a 20-minute conversation. It was great. He's an awesome dude. Like, you can tell he's a player's coach. Like, they want to hang out with him. They feel comfortable with him. He can talk to anybody. He makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. Like, that's what you need to get the guys to buy into the system and trust you. So throughout the years, you've had some pretty good runs. You'd have some pretty good players. Thinking back, do you have any kind of specific games or kind of runs that you've had or players that come to mind for just making your time enjoyable?
Yeah. I probably, as I think back to my career here so far, like the first thing that really always jumps to me is the group of freshmen that we brought in our first year of recruiting in Odell Turner.
I was going to say, that's the Odell one, yeah.
Pedrick, Ethan Kincaid, like that group really kind of was the group that sent our program on the path that we wanted it to be on. And then their last 2 years were, one of the best teams in the region for 2 straight years, and won back-to-back conference tournaments and won NCAA tournament games. But that group was really special, and we had I think it was a stretch where we never won 10 in a row, which we did this year, but I believe we won something like 15 out of 16 games from January on. We were so locked in, and that group reminds me a lot of this one in the terms of they were very close. Like, I'm pretty sure that if you reached out to one of them, they still all hang and talk to each other and know what each other is doing. And that carried over on the court. So, that was a great group of guys that we got in that first year, and we took some lumps with them as freshmen, but it was clear. I think we had 3 of them on the all freshman team, which
you're right, if I remember right.
Amazing. And I think Ethan was one that didn't make it, and Ethan will probably go down as the best on the ball defender I've ever coached in my life, and I'm probably pretty sure ever will. So the guy could just guard the basketball like nobody else. So that was a group, and that was really special. And there was another group of Isaiah and Keith Griffin and Josh Dominguez that came along, and there was kind of the same thing. A bunch of freshmen that we lost those guys, and we haven't. One thing we haven't done here is which is different from most D2 basketballs, is we just haven't gone out and reloaded with a bunch of transfers. It's a different philosophy, but also means that when you have a group like that that's together for a while, the following year when those guys all leave, you're kind of scrambling a little bit, and then it just becomes a question of do you just take your lumps with some young guys that are going to be really good. And we've kind of done that a couple times, and it's really paid off. But because by the end of their career, they've got so much experience. And there's not a better motivator than losing, and coming in, whether you're a freshman or not, you get your butt kicked for a while. You want to fix that. And so those guys end up working hard and becoming really good players. But, those are 2 groups. And quite honestly, this group that I'm coaching, I don't know where this thing's going to end right now, but we lost so much off of, I was talking about what we lost before the season even started. And then, we lost some guys along the way this season. And it's just brought them closer together. And I've never had a team that has the, unique ability to find a way to win a game.
Yeah, how many is it that you've won in the buzzer beater in the last, I don't know, 2 months? It's like every time I open the computer, I'm like, another last second win? How?
Yeah, I mean, we hit 2 buzzer beaters in a week. It was just, just amazing. So, and they kind of have that attitude, and we've had some games where we just didn't play good ball and it just wasn't clicking. And we just kind of hang around, and then, we find a way. And, it's not always great for the head coach's heart to have that game go that way. I would worry about my hair, but I don't have any left anyway. So, but they just have a unique ability. And then they have a real belief in themselves that they're going to find a way, and in each other. So it's been a fun thing to be around. And the fact that they, we just laugh all the time. Like you'll see our guys walking out of the calf and some really odd couples, like here's 6'10", Reed walking with our 5'8", 5'9" point guard, who's a 5th-year senior. He's a freshman, but they're just talking away, like, and it's been, and there's no doubt in me that that's played a big factor in, where we are right now. Yeah, no, anytime you can get that team community camaraderie with freshmen and seniors, you've got something going. Yeah.
I feel like your team that you guys have this year is one of those scary teams in the tournament, and it's not, it's not like you guys have the best talent in the league, but you have the most dangerous because we have the fight in us to say, no, we're going to win the game. It's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're down by 20, we'll come back. It's not a problem. And so, going into the tournament of the SAC tournament and then going into the NCAA tournament, what are kind of some of the things that you're looking to do with the team? Where do you kind of see things going? What's kind of the objective with all of that?
Yeah, I the biggest thing we're just kind of working every day right now is knowing, March Madness. It's the game within the game that wins a lot of those games, and that is, the defense, obviously, but rebounding, getting extra possessions offensively. You get in those games and you're playing a game in March. They're good. We're good.
Yeah.
They make shots. We make shots. So it's going to come down to things that, that maybe aren't the first thing you think about when trying to win those games. Can you come up with a couple of loose balls? And so that's kind of been the real push is kind of improving in those areas. I thought we were good early. We got maybe a little too satisfied with our offense for a while to really take those things maybe as seriously as we needed to every day, but we've really been pushing it in practice and hopes that the little extra things can go a long way in March basketball games.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of your players, your standout players that you've had, have been local guys. Charlotte, Monroe. I mean, just around here. How are you kind of staying close to home? Like, I feel like it's rare that you find like so much talent that stays close to home. It's like we got to go get one guy from Florida or one guy from Tennessee, and it's like no, pretty much everybody that's been everything here is kind of from right here.
Yeah, we've had a lot of them, and I mean it's definitely part of what we try to do. If we think there's a guy that fits who we are, that's close by, we're going to really pursue them. I think one of the things that makes it interesting is a lot of times at most universities, I would think those kids, this would be the last place they'd want to go, right? Mom and dad are 10 minutes, Josh Massey's playing for us right now, and his house is like 8 minutes from the house. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want my mom and dad that close to me when I was in college.
Oh, no. Having that food cooked all the time. Yeah. Laundry, I mean, that's nice.
That's not bad. So I just think that speaks volumes about our university that, the guys that are nearby and aren't really going off to college, but just going down the street to college have done that. So, that's one of the reasons I came here and one of the reasons I stay here is it's that kind of place. So, but we definitely try to focus in on anybody that, is within arm's reach, that we think we can bring here, because, it brings another, little realm of connection. That's a set of parents that we know are going to be in the crowd, whereas the ones from Florida or Virginia can't always make it. And we kind of, really do it in circles. We want to get anything close to us that we think fits what we need. And then that circle kind of grows to find absolutely what we need. But we'll continue to recruit close by. I mean, we've missed on a couple that we really wanted, and that happens. But we'll continue to try to find those guys that are near, Wingate and Union County and Charlotte area, because we think that just increases the connection that we have to the school.
Yeah, and it helps with alumni. I've reached out. Larry's been on the podcast, and he's like, if you want BG, if you want Sean Barnett, if you want all these guys, they're right here, and they are close by. And I bet if you needed someone to come talk to the team that was from the Final Four run, like, you can get someone to come over, or Elite Eight. I don't think we made it to the Final Four. We're close, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Elite Eight.
But, you could get someone to come over and talk to the team and, kind of get them excited. You have guys that played professionally that went to Wingate. That's within an arm's reach still. So, keeping those alumni close and bought into the program is really important, which I think, it comes from recruiting locally as well. So, background for you, I don't think a lot of people know, kind of your original college tour. You were at Wisconsin, correct?
I'm a Badger, yes.
So what tell me about Wisconsin.
It's cold.
I've actually never been. I've been all over, and
it's a great place to be in the summer months. It's awesome, beautiful. I grew up in Indiana. Okay. Dad was a high school basketball coach forever, coached two guys that went on to play for Indiana. So I grew up wanting to be a Hoosier, go to IU, play for Bobby Knight, all those things. And then we moved 10, 15 minutes from Purdue University when I was like in 5th, 6th grade. And so I was in the middle of Big Ten countries where I always wanted to play. Wisconsin probably wasn't really on that list. But when it got down to the end, Iowa and Wisconsin were the two Big Ten schools that recruited me. And when Wisconsin offered, Indiana and Purdue made it clear that they were not going to offer. So when Wisconsin did, for me, it was the next best thing. And probably as I look back now, having been a basketball coach, that was probably the stretch as high a level as I could probably go. Yeah. If I was to be honest, had I probably went a mid-major, I probably would have had a much more productive college career. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I still had some awesome memories. Hit a game winner.
That's what I was saying. Did you get to play against anybody that really stood out, or guys, that obviously people know, or there's a lot of guys from college where they were amazing in college and just didn't pan out in the NBA or stuff. Do you have any ones that kind of bring back memories?
Well, yeah. I mean, we played the Fab Five, obviously, at Michigan.
They were all right.
They weren't bad. Actually, when they lost their freshman year in the NCAA tournament, we were the last team to beat them. Oh, wow. Before that loss. So we beat them at our place to finish up the regular season. But probably the guy that, and maybe it's selfish because we were teammates, but my senior year, we had a freshman named Michael Finley, played for a long time.
For the Mavericks for a while.
Yep, Dallas Mavericks. And I've told people this story, and I'll probably keep telling it because I don't know that every guy like that is defined this way, but I just remember my senior year, his freshman year, what a pain in the butt it was to practice against this guy. Like, his intensity level was through the roof. Now, I mean, and he was on a big time high school team, but he wasn't the big time recruit. He was kind of second tier, so he didn't have an ego about him. But I've told people, like, just to make a pass to the next guy with Michael guarding you took everything you had. Like, he just approached every day, and it was clear that this guy was going to be pretty special because he's got to work. He's already talented, but you would never know it. He's the hardest working guy in the gym with the most talent. So you knew he was going to have a pretty special career following Wisconsin, and he did. You know.
He so a pretty good career.
Yeah, he was something else. He really got after it. He you know, those days where you're post road trip and you're hoping to just kind of coast through practice. Yeah, he wasn't letting you get away with that one. So he'd make you look silly. Yeah.
What do you think? You know, in football, we always know it's like about a tenth on your 40 time. That's the difference between D1 and D2. That's pretty much it. You know, 1/10 of a second, and you're probably a D1 player. What do you think the biggest difference in basketball is from a D1 to a D2 program?
Yeah, that's a great question. One that we talk about a lot.
Really?
I don't know that we've ever came up with the exact answer.
And you know, we don't know, but it's like, it's the speed. Well, what is that speed? 1/10 is a lot if every single person's 1/10 faster.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's a touch of athleticism. It's maybe, you know, you're a 6'3" point guard instead of a 6'1" point guard. You're a 6'5", 6'6" shooter instead of a 6'4" shooter. You know, the post play is probably the easiest one to see. It's usually just height.
Yeah. 6'9" versus 7 foot. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. You know, Trez is 6'8". You know, if he was 6'10", 6'11", be a completely different thing, you know? So, but yeah, it's something as coaches, we actually talk about. Maybe somebody knows the answer to all that, but, you know, and sometimes it is just skill, you know.
Yeah.
There's, you know, and then you see guys that succeed at our level that you know very well that had they gone another level, they would have succeeded at that one too. So sometimes it's just an ability, a basketball IQ, if you will, you know, just understanding the game a little bit quicker. But you hope that, you know, if he's 10 pounds lighter than what he needs to be at that level, well, we're going to get him here, and those guys over there in the weight room are going to get those 10 pounds on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we hope that if it's a little bit of quickness and athleticism, we can add that. And if it's a little bit of skill, then it becomes on us basketball coaches to add that.
Yeah. No, it's always, you know, we get a lot of, it's not hate, but like people discredit Division II a lot of times. I'm like, it's not that different. Like, it's just very, very little things. And there's a lot of guys in D2 that could be playing D1 and they'd do just fine.
Yeah.
I remember my junior year, I was having a really good season. You know, I was all whatever. And Kenwin Cummings, who ended up playing for the Dallas Cowboys, played defensive end. I played tight end. So, you know, we're running a reverse. And, you know, it's offense versus defense, ones versus ones. We're running a reverse. Like, Ryan, you're going to go block Ken when you got to do this, you know, sneaky block around, all this fun stuff. I'm like, okay, great. So I go around and I go to block him. And, you know, I'm doing everything I can. And all of a sudden, he just picks me up and goes and makes a tackle in the backfield. We're watching film the next day, and my coach is like, you stopped your feet. I'm like, Coach, I didn't stop my feet. If you look, I'm still moving my feet. He just actually picked me up and moved me and put me down and then went and got the tackle. But that's a guy that, like, I mean, he played middle linebacker for the Cowboys. He shouldn't have been here at Division II. Like, he was a man. He took a picture over the summer, and he was the size of the horse that he took the picture with. So, like, you shouldn't have been here, man. But yeah, it's stuff like that where it's like you play against top tier talent, and you know it just might not be the whole team.
Yeah.
You know, you guys just won recently, and I feel like I saw a video on social media. You had some dance moves with the guys in the locker room.
I mean, they're always encouraging me to show more. I don't think I'm much of a dancer.
I mean, it looked pretty impressive to me.
But I do my best because, you know, I think anytime you get to celebrate, you celebrate, you know. And sometimes I walk in and I don't have any choice but to join in the celebration. So I'll keep doing my worst to do something. Maybe one of these days these guys will, you know, somebody will show me a few moves, so maybe I don't feel so silly when I'm doing it. But they're fun. They're fun to be around.
No, it was great. I saw that. I was like, man, if I remember, I need to cut it in on here and ask you about it. Guys that are listening, alumni, we've got some awesome alumni. Like I said, they're local. If they can help out with the program for you, what are some things that you'd ask for fellow alumni or Wingate supporters to help out the basketball program continue its success?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of knows the state of really small college athletics and to be quite honest, small colleges right now. It's tough time. We're losing schools, every day or every year for sure. Places are closing. I think just heard another one's closing at the end of the year up in the East. So anytime, those people can help us, things, I think Wingate's thriving. And we're doing well, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still really huge challenges for us right now. And we're all facing them. And the people that have helped us and supported us, I don't know that we'd make it through the season financially without their help and support. And so we hope that they'll keep doing it. And hopefully we can keep making them proud if they do.
Yeah, no, if anybody does have the ability to help and support and wants to help the basketball team, obviously, much appreciated.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. At the time of this being released, hopefully we are watching you in the Elite Eight, Final Four, making that run for the national championship. I don't think you would be disappointed at all. But, we appreciate hearing about Wingate basketball and where everything's going, and wish you luck in the tournament.
I appreciate it, and I hope that comes true, because I definitely will dance.
Oh, there we go. We heard it here, guys. Cool.